Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening, depending on your time zone and depending on when you are watching this. It is Wednesday, the 3rd of June 2020. I'm James Innes, and this is my YouTube show, The Jobs Guru. I'm delighted to see you here for today's episode. I extend a very warm welcome to all those who have subscribed since the last episode. And if you haven't yet subscribed, then please do think about subscribing so that you don't miss out on the next episode. I can't believe it's Wednesday again, already. The weekend looms on the horizon. Yay. In today's show, I'm going to be taking a look at the latest workplace, jobs, career and employment news. I will, as always, be covering a question from one of my viewers. I'll be talking about the use of terms of endearment. I'll be chatting about the career changes being forced on some people as a result of certain industries being so badly hit by this whole coronavirus crisis, and also those deciding to change their line of work entirely of their own volition. And I'll be giving my top tips as well for changing career path accordingly. And next, in the interview question series, I'll be asking, how many dogs in the world have the exact same number of hairs? Blimey. If you have any questions or comments as you watch, then do please let me have them below. And if you like what you see, then do please hit that YouTube thumbs up. Been perfecting that cheesy grin, haven't I? First, as always, I've had a good read of all of the main news headlines, and in particular the workplace, jobs, careers, and employment-related headlines. Yesterday, it was a selection of articles in the FT, which caught my attention. Today, it's a series in the Telegraph. First, they are claiming an exclusive with the story, tourism bosses warn catastrophic quarantine will force them to axe up to 60% of staff. Government's plan described as a blunt weapon, which will bring only economic disaster. The bosses of Britain's biggest travel and hospitality business, they've warned the government they're going to have to lay up to 60% of their staff if the government presses ahead with quarantine. Quarantine. Well, I think I've already ranted and raved about this enough in a previous episode, so moving swiftly on. The next three headlines, again, all Telegraph, are basically all just different angles of the same big story, which I'll talk about in a minute. So first, we've got Rishi Sunak faces biggest challenge yet with emergency budget. The Chancellor is exploring how to kickstart the recovery, but economists warn the usual levers may not work. Next, Rishi Sunak considers national insurance holidays for firms as part of coronavirus recovery package. Chancellor focusing on measures to stem an unexpected spike in unemployment and boost economic growth after pandemic. And finally, tax cuts, not job creation schemes, are needed to recover. The common thread here, from my point of view at least, is how the hell is the country going to cope with the rapidly rising ranks of the unemployed? The coronavirus crisis is clearly starting to ease a little somewhat, albeit I do have a funeral to attend tomorrow. I can assure those who still think it's just a cold that it really isn't. But we're now heading straight into the worst unemployment crisis our poor country has ever seen. So what are we going to do about it? Well, that is the question, one of many, admittedly, facing the indomitable Rishi Sunak. Word has it that he'll be unveiling an emergency budget in the week commencing July the 6th, just over a month from now, with a focus on stemming unemployment, especially, I think, youth unemployment, tax incentives or direct subsidies for employers who hire new staff, job guarantees for young people, a big focus on skills retraining, and the possibility of so-called national insurance holidays for firms. The question I ask is, are there actually any new ideas in here? National insurance holidays, for example, was an idea previously rolled out by the coalition government back in 2010. I'm not the Chancellor, and right now I'm not at all sure I'd want to be. But I do hope he's going to put his thinking cap on and come up with some powerful new ideas to avoid terrifying levels of unemployment. Terrifying levels of unemployment. Now that's an expression I've lifted from Matthew Lynn's excellent article. I'll repeat the very bold statement he makes in his headline there. Tax cuts, not job creation schemes, are needed to recover. You'll probably be thinking that tax rises are what's needed, and yes, doubtless they will come, but not now. If you raise taxes whilst the economy is still struggling so badly, you just kill all economic growth. No, the point Matthew is making is that, are we looking at the bigger picture? Are we identifying the root causes of the problem? Because the bigger problem is perhaps not on the demand side of the economy, it's on the supply side. And therefore tax cuts and deregulation could be the quickest and most effective route to the creation of new jobs. Make no mistake, Matthew is not criticising the Chancellor. He goes on, in fact, to be very complimentary, saying the Chancellor has been bold, decisive and radical and has avoided a complete collapse, even if the cost has been huge. Matthew's just trying to highlight the epic complexity of the problems we as a country face. I personally think that tax cuts and job creation schemes are what's needed to recover, and I'm pretty sure Matthew feels the same way. He's just necessarily placed the emphasis on the tax side of things in his article. Read the whole article. It's excellent. And finally, in this segment of the show, I'd like to pick up on a piece from the Daily Mash. The Daily Mash reports, the more essential your work, the less you get paid. Them's the rules, says capitalism. Capitalism has, allegedly, confirmed that the more vital to society your work is, the less you earn. Workers who the country could not do without right now, for example, nurses, trackers, supermarket staff, they must earn a pittance compared to management consultants and pork futures traders, because that is the way it is. A Treasury spokesman said, allegedly again, as someone who draws a six-figure salary for a job a trained parrot could do, I applaud those potentially laying down their lives and regret that they must earn much less. Remember, you heard it here first. So, on to that question from one of my viewers. Today's question has been sent in by Rachel in Liverpool. Dear James, I work in an office which is 80% male and I'm apprehensive about returning because I feel the language used against me is inappropriate. I feel the way I'm spoken to is different to my male counterparts. I am challenged more in my performance, have my appearance commented on, and seem to be spoken down to when a man in the same position isn't. Other times I am called darling or love, which makes me feel uncomfortable, although I'm sure they're just trying to be nice. Are you? Should I be worried about this, and what can I do? What are the rules for employers? Okay. Well, Rachel in Liverpool, certainly a tricky one. You say you worry about the language used and some of the comments made, and you ask if you should be worried about it or not. Evidently, if it's making you feel uncomfortable, that's the word you use there, you say it is making you feel uncomfortable, then you should of course be worried about it. You should not have to be subjected to working conditions which make you feel uncomfortable on a daily basis. You have rights. The key question we have to ask is, what can you do about this? Now, if it was just one individual, then I'd suggest you start off by having a quiet word with them. However, in your case, it's clearly the entire office culture that is a problem. I would therefore say that your first step should be, discreetly, to request an informal, private chat with whoever your immediate boss is. This individual may be part of the problem, but even so, they should nonetheless be your first port of call. Remain calm, remain polite, remain professional, but firmly and clearly explain your point of view, focusing in particular on how it makes you feel. And any manager worth their salt should be able to readily resolve this matter. Bottom line, if you are otherwise happy in a role but have an issue with your colleagues, then tread carefully and at least in the first instance, try not to overreact. Focus instead on finding a solution. I am always open to interesting new questions from my viewers, so if you have a workplace, jobs, careers or employment related question for me, then do please type it into that comment section below and I may well feature it in a future episode of this show. And if I do, then one of my limited edition collector's item Jobs Guru coffee mugs will be yours. Here's one I made earlier. I'm sure you're so excited at the prospect that you could crush a grape, yeah? Now then, each day, as well as answering one viewer's specific question, I also look into a specific issue which has been raised by a number of different viewers. And today I'm going to shine my spotlight on terms of endearment. Rachel is not the only person to have asked about this. It's not the most common of questions, but it's not the first time I've had a question along these lines. Now, whilst I personally feel there is nothing intrinsically wrong with terms of endearment, such as darling or love, and I know that they are quite commonplace in the workplace, if this sort of thing is making you feel uncomfortable, then it's clearly an issue. One school of thought would argue that this is blatant sexual harassment and requires a robust reaction. However, as Rachel notes in her question, they may well, she says, I am sure they are just trying to be nice. Well, maybe. I mean, trust me, I think you'll know the difference if they're just trying to be nice or whether it is, deliberate harassment. A quiet word in private should generally be all it takes to resolve this sort of issue in the vast majority of cases, But of course, if that doesn't work, you are totally within your rights to take the matter further. Okay. Now then, on to the main topic that I wish to discuss with you today. I mentioned it earlier. It's the career changes being forced on some people as a result of certain industries being so badly hit by this whole coronavirus crisis. And also those deciding to change their line of work entirely of their own volition. And I'll be giving my top tips for changing career path accordingly. One of the inevitable outcomes of the global coronavirus pandemic is that the world of work is changing. radically for many people. Industries like travel, tourism, hospitality, retail being hit very, very hard. Many people have been forced into changing their career. On the other hand, some people are also using this time to reevaluate what is important to them, both personally and professionally, and to intentionally look for something new. Research suggests that 2/3 of workers are more likely to consider a different industry, and there are a number of possible reasons behind this. There's the opportunity to learn new skills, gain new experiences. It's never too late to learn something new, and changing your career is a great opportunity for this. There's also the desire perhaps to achieve a better work-life balance. The traditional 9 to 5 is a thing of the past for many jobs and industries, with remote working looking like it could be the new normal as we emerge from a full lockdown. And this presents a great opportunity to achieve an improved balance between your work and personal life. There's also the issue of job security in an increasingly uncertain and competitive economy. If your industry has come under threat as a result of the pandemic, you may be looking to target sectors that have proven more resilient. And others may be looking for a more ethical employer or sector at a time when some companies and sectors, their reputations have been hit hard. There's already been a noticeable increase in people searching for jobs with more purpose and more meaningful jobs that enable people to help others more directly. I've seen that firsthand. However, it's important to remember the grass is not always greener. So if you are thinking about changing your career voluntarily, here are a few things to think about, okay? 1, how are you going to explain your career change to a recruiter? Why should they pick you over someone with direct experience in that sector? 2, is this the right time for a change? Do you need to make sure that other areas of your life, your personal or financial, are in a strong position, maybe a stronger position before you leap into a new career? 3, well, what is it about your current job or indeed sector that you don't like? Are there ways that you can perhaps negotiate a better position for yourself that doesn't involve such a drastic change in your life? What does the future hold for the industry that you're considering moving into? Is it stable? Is it secure? Lots of questions. Still thinking about changing your career? Or are you one of those people who just have no choice in the matter? Now, the answer to either question is yes, then there will be some useful hacks here to improve your chance of success as you navigate the challenging career change journey. So, a little list of hacks here. Well, number 1, do a skills audit. What do I mean by that? So I mean identify what skills you've gained in your previous roles. It's an important place to start, basically. What you're looking for are skills that are transferable to the roles that you are now targeting. If you find that there are any gaps in your experience, look into how you can fill those gaps through training or even volunteering. Great time for volunteering at the moment. Number 2, tailor your CV. Yes, I know talking about CVs, it's always one of my first bits of advice. I am an expert in CVs. But it's all the more important when you're looking to do something new, as your CV will need a complete overhaul. Those transferable skills I mentioned will need to be given more prominence, and your achievements will really need to stand out so that the recruiters can see your potential value, even if you don't have direct experience in their industry. Need any help with this? Well, come visit us at jamesinnis.group. Number 3, be open-minded. You may have an ideal job role in mind, but it may be that you haven't yet considered all the options that might be available to you. It may also be that your current career isn't actually that bad, and you end up sticking with it. You never know what the future holds, so be prepared to be flexible. Don't just have a plan B, but also have a plan C or even a plan D. 4, get ready to learn. Inevitably, if you're looking to do something new, you may have to start at the bottom. Some reskilling is likely to be involved, and recruiters, they need to know that you're willing and able to put in the time and the effort needed to make your transition successful and seamless. 5, network. Having a strong network is always important if you're looking to develop your career in any direction. But when you're considering a career change, you need to look beyond your close connections to people who you may not be in regular contact with them. Think further afield. In particular, obviously, those who might be in a position to help you. Update your LinkedIn profile, look for new connections. Or existing connections who maybe you haven't spoken to in a while. Reach out. And finally, number 6, be patient. Whether you've chosen to change your career or you have no say in it, this process can take time. Don't get discouraged. Be resilient. Keep applying. Never give up. Any kind of change can be a challenging time for you, and a career change is no exception, even if it is something that you've decided on yourself. Seeking the help of others can be really important, so talk to your friends, family, even your colleagues to get their advice and guidance. But don't forget the services such as professional CV and LinkedIn writing and interview coaching can be essential in facilitating any career transition. We're here to help if you need it at jamesinnis.group. As always, I'd really welcome in the comment section below any comments, Thoughts, questions, ideas, feedback, criticism, preferably constructive, indeed any suggestions perhaps for future topics that you might like to see covered in my show. And whoever writes my favourite comment of the week will become the proud owner of a limited edition collector's item, Jobs Guru Biro. I tried to hold this the right way up. I held it up upside down yesterday, I believe. There we go. Groovy. Now, as well as heading up James Innes Group, I am also the UK's best-selling careers author, and amongst my titles is the interview question and answer book. I have one here. There we go. It is, of course, available in all good bookshops, or if you'd like a signed copy from yours truly, then there's a link in the description of this video. Anyway, in each episode of my YouTube show, I'm taking questions from that book and looking at how to answer them. And this week, like last week, I'm taking those questions from the chapter entitled Weird and Wonderful Questions. Today's question: how many dogs in the world have the exact same number of hairs? Similar questions include: how many birds in the world have the exact same number of feathers? How many fish in the world have the exact same number of scales? I think you get the picture here. But back to the question in hand. How many dogs in the world have the exact same number of hairs? This is a real interview question posed by Capital Asset Exchange and Trading. Yes, some interviewers are just too clever for their own good, and this type of impossible to answer question is clearly designed to rattle you. So don't let it, okay? So how to answer. Now, if you don't know the answer, did I say it was impossible to answer? Well, that might have been an exaggeration. Then you simply need to retain your composure. Use the politician's old trick of admitting you don't know, but not actually saying so in as many words. As it happens, there is an answer of sorts. If you plotted I'm going to get technical here on you, if you plotted a statistical distribution graph of all the dogs in the world, there's going to be a range of number of hairs that all dogs have. For example, all dogs probably have more than 100,000 hairs and perhaps less than 20 million. And within that range, given how many dogs there are in the world, there will inevitably be many dogs that have the same number of hairs. Okay, well, perhaps not a precise answer, but a precise methodology, and one which will undoubtedly impress the interviewer. As always, I have yanked a little example answer from my book for you, which I haven't actually read since I wrote it. Let's see. I'd like to give you an answer, but unsurprisingly, I don't have enough data to hand to do so with any great accuracy. I'd need to know the minimum, maximum, and average number of hairs, and also how many dogs there are in the world. Even then, it would inevitably be an approximation. But given how many dogs there are in the world, I'd say that plenty of them have the exact same number of hairs as another dog somewhere else in the world. Okay, well. Now, I am currently updating the interview question and answer book, working on a brand new edition, the third one. So if you have any interview questions which you think I should be considering for possible inclusion, do please let me know in the comment section below. And if I use your question, then obviously there'll be a complimentary signed copy of the, well, not this one, but of the next edition for you. And I may even throw a free interview coaching session with me if you like, the man who literally wrote the book on interviews. Or of course, you can just pop along and book a session at jamesinnes.group. So now, we are not far from the end of today's show. I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, for the last show of the week. Remember, this show is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday each and almost every week. Just two more things. First, I must squeeze in some important but routine requests. Do please check me out on social media and connect, follow, sign up, or otherwise stalk me. But please avoid trolling me. If you have any questions or comments about this episode, about the show in general, or indeed about life, the universe, guided tours of Tel Aviv, whatever, do please let me have them below. If you like this episode, then do please hit it with the YouTube thumbs up. If you've kindly given me a thumbs up, then do think about subscribing to my channel so you don't miss out on the next episode. And if you've already subscribed, then, remember to ring that bell so that you can, that was a bit loud again, wasn't it? So you can receive notifications when I upload new episodes. And if you've already rung that bell, then I am your #1 fan. Finally, let me tell you what's happening in the next episode. In Thursday's show, I'll be chatting about a variety of things, including my 5 top tips to make your CV stand out. And next in the interview question series, we'll be asking, how do you fit a giraffe in a fridge? Gosh. I do hope you'll tune in. Thank you for watching today. Keep safe and be well, my friends. Goodbye.